I'm going to start with you here, Caitlin. You said you might be aggressive on the trade market once this opened up. Is there any player that you're looking to get to? And remember, it has to be apples to apples trade here. Starter for starter, reserve for reserve. The good news is you can't go wrong with this type of talent. Anyone looking to make a deal here?
To be completely honest, I love my team. I think they're great. I don't have any intentions of really trading any of them. I don't know if this is in the rules. I don't really care. But I think we've already discussed we are going to trade coaches. Fee's going to take her coach, Sandy Brondello. Let's get it.
Ooh.
It's going to be amazing. Sorry, WNBA, if that's not in the rule. Sorry, ESPN, if that's not in the rules, but we just made it a rule. So, Sandy Brondello, come on over.
Whoa!
Let's get to it. You can coach Sabrina. So, therefore, maybe Stewie wants to come on over to my team.
Whoa.
Let me know. Fee, you want to give me Stewie?
We have breaking news here. I don't know that I've heard of a coach being traded in the All-Star game. This is something you're agreeing to, Fee. There's no terms to this deal.
I agree with Cheryl. I agree with the trade. I love Cheryl. She's my coach here. And you know what? That's just going to be worse for Team Clark because now we got more chemistry on our side. We got more synergy. We know what we expect from each other. So that was a bad move on your part, Caitlin. We're taking you down.
What you just heard was the moment the 2025 WNBA All-Star Draft went completely off the rails. On the surface, it was a funny, historic, and unprecedented move. Caitlin Clark, the biggest name in the game, tearing up the script live on national television to trade for her All-Star teammate's coach, Sandy Brondello. But as the initial shockwave settled, a much deeper and more controversial story started taking shape, and that's what we're here to break down. Many are convinced this wasn't just a random, spur-of-the-moment decision. They see it as a calculated power play, a direct and very public message from Caitlin Clark to the coach she traded away, Minnesota Lynx and Team USA basketball coach Cheryl Reeve. The question that dominated social media was simple. Was this public snub payback for the Olympics? We're going to connect the dots, look at the evidence that other outlets aren't covering, and unpack the rumored feud that has the entire league buzzing. If you're here for the real story behind the headlines, do me a quick favor and smash that like button. It tells us we're on the right track and that you, the narrative analysts, want the full story. Okay, so to really understand how we got to this explosive moment, we have to rewind the tape just a bit. The stage was set for the 2025 WNBA All-Star Draft, broadcast live on ESPN on July 8th. The format is straightforward. The top 2 fan vote-getters become captains and draft their teams. This year, that was Indiana-owned Caitlin Clark, who led all players with a record-breaking number of votes, and Minnesota's superstar forward Napheesa Collier. Standard stuff so far. There was another detail that seemed routine at the time. The coaches for the All-Star teams were pre-assigned based on their team's regular season success. Because the Minnesota Lynx held the best record in the league, their coach, Cheryl Reeve, was automatically assigned to lead Team Clark. Meanwhile, Sandy Brondello of the New York Liberty was set to coach Team Collier. Remember those assignments. Reeve was supposed to be with Clark and Brondello with Collier. On paper, it was all locked in. But as we now know, a completely different plan was already in motion. So that was the official setup. Reeve with Clark, Brondello with Collier. The draft begins, and Clark makes her first pick, selecting her Indiana Fever teammate, Aaliyah Boston. Her second pick, New York Liberty guard Sabrina Ionescu. Everything seems to be proceeding as planned. The ESPN host even tees up the possibility of a player trade, asking Clark if she plans to be aggressive on the market. And this is where the script gets flipped. She leans in and says, "To be completely honest, I love my team. I think they're great. I don't have any intentions of really trading any of them. It's the perfect setup for the swerve that nobody saw coming." And then she delivers the line that broke the internet. I don't know if this is in the rules, I don't really care, but I think we've already discussed we are going to trade coaches. The reaction on the live broadcast was immediate confusion and shock. You could hear it from the commentators. One of them just said what everyone was thinking. We're breaking news here. I don't know that I've heard of a coach being traded in the All-Star game. This was completely new territory, and Clark didn't stop there. She followed up with, "Sorry, Women's National Basketball Association, if that's not in the rules. Sorry, ESPN, if that's not in the rules. But we just made it a rule now." Of course, a move this big sends ripples through the league, and the two people at the center of the new arrangement, Sabrina Ionescu and her now All-Star coach, Sandy Brondello, had plenty to say about the historic swap.
You may have been involved in the first ever coach trade of any All-Star game ever. Just want to get your thoughts on that in your mind. First for you, Leo.
They announced it? Yeah. That you got traded? Yeah. Oh, I gotta go look at all that. Traded? I have no idea what the teams are.
Second time in history now. Jeez, as a player.
Yeah, I don't really care about individual play.
And I got traded, yes. My son hit me up after he goes, I've created history. This is awesome, I got traded as a coach. But look, I get to coach with Sabrina. I'm on Caitlin Clark's in Indianapolis. I mean, what a great show. So we'll go out there and have some fun.
Hello, all. Congrats on the win. The question is for... My question, you guys ready to do battle with Brianna Stewart in Indianapolis?
Yeah, I'm going to trade for her too. Oh, that's okay. It's not my team anymore. I'm just rocking up.
You have to love that reaction from Sandy Brondello. She's completely embracing the moment. Her son hits her up, and she's thrilled. "I've created history. This is awesome. I got traded as a coach. But look, I get to coach Sabrina." She sees it for what it is on the surface. A fun, historic moment, and a great show for the fans in Indianapolis. And then there was that now famous line from Sabrina Ionescu. In a press conference following the trade, she jokingly said to her longtime Liberty coach, "You can't escape me." So this is the official story the league and the players are presenting. A bit of harmless, record-breaking fun. A funny joke between a player and her coach. It's great for TV, great for the fans, and everyone is laughing. But the story doesn't end there. Because while they were smiling for the cameras, many of you watching, the narrative analysts online, were already connecting the dots and realizing there was likely a much deeper game being played. This is where we need to filter out the noise and start looking at the bigger picture. Okay, many of you watching have been connecting these same dots on social media for days, and you were definitely onto something. To understand what might really be happening here, you have to look not at who Clark traded for, but who she traded away. Coach Cheryl Reeve. Now we are officially entering rumor territory, and this is where the story gets really interesting. The dominant theory online, the one that gives this trade its controversial edge, is that this was a calculated move rooted in the drama surrounding the 2024 Olympic team selection. As a quick refresher, Caitlin Clark, despite being the most popular player in the world, and a true generational talent, was famously left off the Team USA roster for the Paris Olympics. The decision was met with widespread debate and frustration from fans. And the head coach of that Olympic team? None other than Cheryl Reeve. The deep research for this video shows that almost immediately after the All-Star trade was announced, fans began to speculate that Clark's decision stemmed directly from that perceived tension with Reeve over the Olympic omission. Social media absolutely lit up. Our research file documents WNBA fans on social media calling Clark's trade petty, while others said they still got smoke for Cheryl keeping CC off the Olympic team. For these fans, this wasn't just a trade anymore. It was Clark using her immense platform on a national stage to deliver the ultimate cold shoulder to the coach they felt had snubbed her. Now, to be fair, and to look at all the angles like a true analyst, it's important to note that many reports clarified that the Olympic roster selection is made by a committee, and Reeve did not have the sole power to choose the players. However, in the court of public opinion, the head coach often becomes the face of those decisions. It's clear from the online chatter that a huge portion of the fanbase placed the blame squarely on her shoulders. Whether Reeve was 100% responsible or not almost doesn't matter. The perception is what fuels the narrative. And when Clark gets on live TV and says, "I don't care if it's in the rules," while trading Reeve away, it plays perfectly into that storyline of rebellion. Fans praised her for making her own decision to trade coaches without asking permission. They saw it as a boss move. So, I have to ask you all, do you think this was a deliberate shot at Cheryl Reeve or just a coincidence for the sake of entertainment? Let me know your theory in the comments below. But the drama of this trade doesn't just revolve around Clark and Reeve. Let's not forget there's another mastermind in this scenario, the captain of the opposing team, Napheesa Collier, and her response to the trade adds a fascinating layer of strategy to this whole situation. During the live draft, right after Clark proposed the trade, the ESPN host turned to Collier for her response, and Collier didn't just agree, she immediately weaponized the situation and spun it as a victory for her own team. Listen to her exact words. "I agree with Cheryl. I agree with the trade. I love Cheryl. She's my coach here. And you know what? That's just going to be worse for Team Clark. Because now we got more chemistry on our side. We got more synergy. We know what we expect from each other. And so that was a bad move on your part. Caitlin, we're taking you down." This is a brilliant piece of psychological gamesmanship from Collier. While Clark is making a power move that many see as personal, Collier immediately reframes the entire event in terms of on-court strategic advantage. She's essentially saying, "Go ahead and make your statement. While you're busy settling old scores, I'm focused on building a better team to win this game." By accepting Cheryl Reeve, her own coach at the Minnesota Lynx, she secures an immediate advantage of familiarity and established chemistry. Some analysts noted that this coach-player familiarity could create a real competitive edge. Collier is banking on that proven system to outperform the newly formed and potentially drama-filled alliance. This focus on coaching chemistry is even more significant when you zoom out and look at the history between the two coaches who were just traded, Sandy Brondello and Cheryl Reeve. This isn't just a random swap. This trade inadvertently set up a rematch of one of the most intense coaching battles in recent memory. For those who follow the league closely, you'll remember that Brondello's New York Liberty and Reeve's Minnesota Lynx just faced off in the 2024 WNBA Finals. It was an epic, hard-fought series that went to a deciding Game 5, where the Liberty ultimately won their first-ever championship in franchise history. That entire series was a tactical chess match between these exact two coaches. So now this All-Star game, which is supposed to be a friendly exhibition, is suddenly loaded with narrative tension. You have the alleged Clark-Reeve feud, Collier's chemistry gambit, and a WNBA Finals coaching rematch on the sidelines. This adds a whole new level of competitive fire to the game that no one was expecting. So what does this all mean for the future of the WNBA? This single act of defiance might have consequences that last longer than one All-Star game. When Caitlin Clark said, "We just made it a rule now," she wasn't just talking about coach trades. She was demonstrating the incredible power and influence that a superstar player now wields in this league. Fans on social media celebrated her for making her own decision to trade coaches without asking permission. The league and its broadcast partners didn't stand in her way. They leaned into the drama and entertainment value. This sets a fascinating precedent that could influence future All-Star formats. Will other players be emboldened to challenge protocols? This moment could be looked back on as a turning point, a shift where player agency and the personality-driven aspects of the WNBA became just as important as the game itself. So, what's your final take on all this? I want to hear your final verdict in the comments. Was Caitlin Clark's trade a brilliant power play, a petty act of revenge, or just great television? Let me know what you think. If you believe the narrative never ends at the final buzzer and you want to keep getting the analysis that connects these dots, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. And finally, if you know another narrative analyst who would appreciate this breakdown, share this video with them. Let's keep the conversation going.